All right, kids, on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918, an armistice, or temporary cessation of hostilities, was declared between the Allied nations and Germany in the First World War. Armistice Day began the very next year. November 11th became a legal federal holiday in the United States in 1938. And in the aftermath of World War II and the Korean War, Armistice Day became Veterans Day, a holiday dedicated to American veterans of all wars. The commemoration of veterans has its roots in America's deadliest conflict, the Civil War, where approximately 620,000 soldiers died, about 2/3 from disease. The work of honoring the dead began right away all over the country and was organized by free black slaves and some white missionaries, which took place on May 1st, 1865. This led to what we now know as Memorial Day. With that in mind, today, I would like to honor the life of a military veteran who is fortunately still with us and may always be with us.
Hi, Shadow. I want a little flyer. You know, one of those guys that just, I came from a family of aliens. My father wanted my cousin to fight a
Well, sign here.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Now, if you're around the age of my kids, 12 and 9, or you're the parent of kids that age, you probably last saw Donald Duck in Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. He was in nearly every episode trying to help that mid-at-best mouse solve puzzling problems. It was there where Donald becomes the butt of the joke from time to time and wonders, why does this always happen to me? A short end of the stick that Donald usually gets in the series is when he sees a Mickey Mouse symbol and whispers to himself, why is it always Mickey Mouse? And he's not envious of that overrated rodent. Donald has done so much more for all of us, which is what we're going to focus on today. Because interestingly, at the beginning of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, Donald's temper tantrums were rare. However, as the series progressed, his temper, his attitude, and stubbornness would increase more and more. And he's not trying to create problems. It's because he's contending with trauma. Donald Duck may be dealing with PTSD from years of military service and defending our country. So if you've ever wondered why he wears a Navy suit, you know, the thing you notice most about him other than his attitude problem and speech impediment, is not him just being drippy and showing off. According to the Department of Defense, Donald Duck was officially drafted into the U.S. Army in 1941, before the U.S. entered the Second World War. On May 1st, 1942, he made his first military appearance in the cartoon Donald Gets Drafted, where his draft card lists his actual middle name as Fauntleroy. Another reason to be angry. Although, in September 1987, the children's TV show DuckTales premiered, my favorite cartoon as a kid. Its first episode, titled Don't Give Up the Ship, shows Donald leaving his nephews with his uncle Scrooge McDuck so that Donald can join the Navy aboard an aircraft carrier. Scrooge McDuck being the answer to the question, who's the richest person you know? And man, Scrooge is a stingy old miser who won't even teach people how he swims in money. I can see if it was bills, you know, where he has his motion in the ocean, but it's coins. By the way, in order to tell Huey, Dewey, and Louie apart, Disney archivist Dave Smith once said, note that the brightest hue of the three is red, Huey. The color of water, dew, is blue, Dewey. And that leaves Louie, and leaves are green. Oh, and if you're wondering about the identity of the triplets mom and dad, mind your business for one, but it was established in the DuckTales reboot, which started in 2017. It's dope. They keep the theme song from the original DuckTales and everything. Go and watch it if you haven't. Anyways, 10 years before the start of the series, Donald, Scrooge, and Donald's sister, Della, were partners and went on adventures together. Della wanted to explore space, seeing how they saw and conquered everything on Earth. However, she had 3 eggs that were nearly ready to hatch. Donald told his sister about herself for choosing adventure over family, but he didn't know that Scrooge had built a rocket ship as a surprise gift to Della in honor of her triplets' birth. Maybe Scrooge got more stingy after this. Anyways, Della found out early and stole the rocket before Scrooge noticed. So She was caught out there. Della's unhatched triplets, meanwhile, were left motherless. Donald claimed custody and raised Huey, Dewey, and Louie as a single parent from the moment they hatched. Blaming his uncle for the loss of his sister, he refused to speak to Scrooge and cut off all contact. They didn't speak again until Donald went to the Navy, or got a job, depending on certain timelines. If that doesn't show you that Donald is a good dude, then maybe the lyrics to his theme song will. Who's got the sweetest disposition? One guess. Guess who? Who never starts an argument? Who never shows a bit of temperament? Who's never wrong but always right? Who'd never dream of starting a fight? Who gets stuck with all the bad luck? No one but Donald Duck. I detect some sarcasm in there. Look, how else could this single parent of kids that aren't his, who is dealing with anger issues due to PTSD and is overshadowed by his filthy rich uncle and world famous mouse friend, pull a way out of his league bad chick like Daisy Duck? But 3 years before the original DuckTales cartoon series began, on May 19th, 1984, 50-year-old Donald Duck was officially served his discharge papers from the Department of Defense. During the Armed Forces Day Parade in Torrance, California, Donald appeared in his World War II uniform, accompanied by Daisy Duck. He was promoted to Sergeant E5 for his retirement ceremony by then Lieutenant General Arthur E. Brown Jr. That would be the end of Donald Duck's official U.S. Army story. 6 years after DuckTales ended, Donald starred in his own Disney afternoon television show, Quack Pack. 3 stars. It also featured the triplets, but Donald was no longer wearing his sailor suit and hat, but instead wore a Hawaiian shirt following the conclusion of his naval tour of duty. Dress for the job you want. Magnum PI maybe. And he and Daisy have a better and more steady relationship. Before I come to a close, in the series storyline, Donald works as a cameraman for the TV series called What in the World, with Daisy as a reporter. Their boss uses every one of Donald's bad luck moments possible as an opportunity to fire Donald, but it never works. So, we have a veteran trying to live a normal life, trying to maintain a full-time job with benefits, being harassed daily. It's here that I should note for the nerds nerdier than me, which is saying something since I just gave a detailed account of a fictional animated anthropomorphic duck, but Donald has never officially been enlisted in the United States Navy. But he was given the rare honor of being declared an honorary member of the United States Navy and United States Marine Corps. He is also a member of the Screen Actors Guild and an honorary graduate of the University of Oregon, where he served as the school mascot from 1943 to 2010. I'm sure I'm overlooking some past racism and possible assault or a cartoon that proved that Donald was born with his anger issues. Donald Duck was, of course, created by Walt Disney and made his screen debut in 1934. Actually, the artists at Walt Disney Animation Studios rarely called the character by name, instead referring to him as the Duck. That nickname was regularly used during interviews and discussions about Donald by Walt Disney, who also described Donald this way: like many large families, we have a problem child. That's right. It's Donald Duck. Look, Donald appeared in over 150 films and shorts. Donald has the record for most theatrical appearances for a Disney character, and he is the most published non-superhero comic book character in the world. The disrespect. Donald was one of the 3 caballeros. He was a 3 musketeer. He was a soldier. This sacrifice, yet lack of recognition, willingness to help others, but inability to connect with family and friends, access to some jobs, albeit while mental health resources are unavailable, this illustrates the lives of many of our servicemen and women. They deserve dignity. Happy Veterans Day to the U.S. Armed Forces. Because of you, we're going to be all right.